You are Locked On Dodgers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right. Welcome in to the Locked On Dodgers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. I am your host, Pete Fox, covering sports in LA, dating back to 2007 for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio. You can also listen wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. Tonight, this episode of the Locked On Dodgers Postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, this one wasn't fun. 10-4, the final, just in the books, but kind of expected, at least by me, from the standpoint that the Cubs come in trying to make something happen. They've been playing good baseball, 6 of their last 10 with tonight. That's 7 of 11 for them, but they're trying to rally to get into that wild card position. They're, I think, 4 or 5 back at this point, and they've just been playing good baseball of late. So I wasn't terribly surprised by the offense that they were able to put up. And the Dodgers coming into this series, let's just be honest, they don't have as much focus on the Cubs as they would someone like the Cleveland Guardians. Didn't say Indians. The Cleveland Guardians series was more important, had more playoff relevance. There is a possibility that the Dodgers could meet the Guardians in the playoffs. And Walker Buehler on the mound doesn't breed a ton of confidence. Roy in the chat pretty early. Enough of freaking Buehler. Oh, I feel like my old self. Yeah, you ducked before you went on the IL. I think you meant to say you sucked before you went on the IL. Yeah, it's not looking good. The last couple of outings for Buehler have been below satisfactory, and that's putting it mildly. Let's be trying to find some silver lining. He pitched well 3 outings ago. Tonight, 5 runs, 9 hits, ugly first inning, only struck out 4, 1 walk, 2 home runs, 1 from Cody Bellinger. Nice to see Belly back at the Ravine. I'm one of those guys that kind of feels like they pulled the ripcord on him a little too early by not doing whatever they could to keep him around. Pretty sure he just left, right? They didn't offer him what he wanted, and he said, I'm out of here. And it's been okay for him. I mean, yeah, he won an MVP in LA and then had a bad season after that. And they were like, yeah, I think we're done. Like, really? He's been good ever since he left. So I just kind of feel like he's a Dodger, always will be, probably end up at the Dodgers again at some point down the road before he retires. But yeah, that home run was like, oh, it, stings a little bit more. And then Michael Busch, did he go 5 for 5 or 4 for 4? Yeah, 4 for 5, 3 runs, 3 RBI. What a day for him. Another former Dodger. So they just beat us up left, right, and center. 10-4, the final. Mookie Betts came into this game hot, stayed hot. That was nice to see. His last 14-game on-base streak continued. So it's now 15 games in a row on base. Batting average now over 340. And what do you have? At least 1 extra base hit tonight. So home run and so 10 extra base hits. So he's red hot. Let's keep that going. Shohei Ohtani also red hot, maybe even closer to white hot. Average still below 300. Mookie, the only guy on the Dodgers with an average over 300 at 307. 398 on base, slugging at 522. He's catching up to Shohei, whose slug is 617. The inning that really lost it for the Dodgers was the first. Walker Buehler just couldn't get out. 27 pitches in the first inning, but usually First pitch strikes are a good side. 25 of 31 pitches, that was into the second inning, were strikes. So that had me thinking, maybe you miss a few. Maybe you bury a few. Maybe you don't throw so many damn strikes, not first pitch strikes, just strikes in general. Again, 27 pitches in the first inning, and then into the second, it was at 31, and they threw out the stat. 25 of the 31 pitches he had thrown at that point were strikes. They can't all be strikes. You're doing that. Guess what they're doing? Sitting there waiting for something right down Main Street. And they took advantage. 16 hits in all. For the Dodgers offensively, it wasn't terrible. I mean, this was a game. I'm going to put the heading under or for this game as, hey, can't win them all. Could have been worse. Looked ugly, 10-4, but there was lots to feel good about. Plenty of offense. Maybe not lots. Defense was good. Bullpen was shaky. This was one of those games where they're like, well, this is what we got. We got 3 or 4 guys, and they're going to go out there and pitch. Win or lose, that's what we're rolling with tonight. Banda, Grove, and Ramirez. Banda, again, Roy is right on point tonight. Banda has not looked good for several games. Our relievers can't hold the score to us to allow a comeback. Folks, talk about our bullpen is our strength, but I disagree. Here's the thing, Roy. There are a couple of guys that are shaky. Banda is one of them right now. When you look at the bullpen up and down, it's still a strength. And I think when people say the bullpen is a strength, they're comparing it to the starting rotation. And we're talking about right now because Mark, the trust tree leaving Banda. He is falling down and breaking branches on the way. Yeah, they use Banda too much. I agree with you, Craig. It's like that's the first guy they go to. Now that Joe Kelly is on the IL, read something today that we might not see Joe Kelly again this season. But when you look at the Dodger bullpen, I think the reason people say it's a strength is comparing it to the starting rotation. And we're talking right now, right? Obviously, there is a lot of hope that's lingering out there that health is right around the corner. Yamamoto will start tomorrow night. We go into that feeling good. We feel like, all right, let's see what he's got. I think we'll give him a little bit of rope. We're not going to be too terribly critical on his performance tomorrow. And then Tyler Glasnow is close, right around the corner, throwing. I think they said he's going to throw a few more days, and then they'll start talking about a rehab assignment. But let's look at the Dodger bullpen up and down. Not statistically, just kind of gut reaction, how we feel about these guys. Banda, I think we're down on Banda. Trending up, trending down. Banda right now, not good. Ryan Brazier, trending up. Very good. Walker Buehler, yeah, I don't know. Shaky at best. Not somebody that's high on the trust tree. Probably will not be there for the postseason. Jack Flaherty, killing it right now. Michael Grove, red hot. Brett Honeywell, an innings eater, won't be there in the postseason. Daniel Hudson, question mark. Here and there. Pretty good of late. Was bad for a while. Had that long respite where he didn't pitch for like a week or more. Came back out, wasn't good, but then has been pretty decent since that one return outing. Landon Knack, I think he's trending up. A lot of you guys like Landon Knack. Could make an impact in the bullpen. Could be a starter. Hard to say where the health lies. He's healthy, right? So, yeah, could be a guy that we see more of in the postseason. Trending up for sure. Michael Kopech is my number one stud in this bullpen. Bobby Miller, no, trending down. Won't be on the postseason pitching staff. It's too shaky, unreliable. Evan Phillips, back on track, found it again. Nick Ramirez, probably not, maybe. Blake Trinan's been good, and Vesia has been good. So as far as the bullpen guys that are shaky and not reliable, it's really right now, we're just kind of pointing our finger at Banda and a little bit of Nick Ramirez, but I don't know that Nick Ramirez is anything more than a guy that they need to fill a roster spot right now and eat up some innings, right? So I don't agree that the bullpen is not good. I think right now, comfortable lead, trying to get to the finish line, trying to win the West, trying to get healthy. There's a lot of things hanging out there that we can't look at this game and say what it could mean later. I think we need to look at this game and maybe this part of the season, the next week or week and a half, maybe the next 2 weeks in a vacuum and go, okay, this is now, and let's not worry too much about what it means moving forward. Now, there are obviously going to be an important set of games right at the end of the season where we need to get Dodger starting pitchers that are on the IL right now back out there. Again, Glasnow is going to need to have some starts or he's not going to be part of the postseason. You got to get this guy back up to speed, right? And the same holds true for what's his name? The guy that just went on the IL. I'm forgetting his name. The other starter for the Dodgers. Dodgers. What is Jeff from Locked On Dodgers has Roy Estrada. Dodgers have a 767 OPS against righties and a 767 OPS against lefties. Okay. Nice and even. Nothing wrong with that, I guess, right? Who the guy what's the guy, the Dodger pitcher that just went on the IL? Damn it. Blanking on his name. Anyway, we'll get to that after the break. Anyway, that he's another question mark as to Gavin Stone. Sorry. Phew, blanked. I've been doing football all weekend and baseball this is a tough time of year for me. I know you guys are like, rough life you have. You watch football all weekend and then you got to come in here and talk about baseball. Thanks, Mark. A little late. I beat you to it. And Matt. But yeah, I've been in football mode all weekend. Big win for the Trojans, although they didn't play anybody in Utah State. Huge win yesterday for the Chargers. That was nice to see. So back in the baseball mode for at least this week. Trojans are off on Saturday. Chargers have Carolina on Sunday. Let's take the first break. It's the Locked On Dodgers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. That's where you find Jeff and Vince doing the Daily Dodgers podcast. You make them your first listen, then you make me your second listen right after the game, and we appreciate you making us your source for your team every day. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers Postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, which is burning up right now because the NFL season is underway. Well, we have something a little different for you now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. If you ever had YouTube TV, if you're like stuck on something else like DirecTV or Spectrum or whatever, YouTube TV is fantastic, super easy to use, and a bargain. YouTube TV, if you have the base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon game. All of the out-of-market games, all you need is a Google account and a current form of payment and a very forgiving partner that will allow you to watch every football game there is. And of course, you can cancel anytime. So just visit FanDuel.com, download America's #1 sportsbook, and do it soon. Dodgers get kind of pushed around by the Cubbies tonight. 10-4 the final. The Dodgers did put up 10 hits. That was nice to see. They had some offense. They rallied. They were 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position, which wasn't terrible. Let's do the Diamond Dogs list as to some of the offense that stood out to me. For number 5, Chris Taylor, a 1-out single in the 5th. Didn't turn into anything, but I did like the fact that it was the second hit of the game for the Dodgers at that point. 1 hit through 4. Not going to get it done when you're in a 4-0 hole at that point. For number 4, Shohei Ohtani, a single to center on a curveball in the 5th. Again, he had a really nice night, and is locked in, hitting the cover off the ball. 46 home runs now after the bomb last night. What did he hit that thing? 450 last night? Oh, it was like 430. Whatever. It was absolutely smoked. That's what you call a no-doubter. And tonight, again, just swinging smooth and rhythmic, and everything looked good for him tonight. 2 hits, 2 runs scored, thanks to Mookie Betts, who falls in at number 3 on tonight's Diamond Dogs list. Mookie's RBI single up the middle in the 5th scored Shohei. Number 2, a leadoff single in the 7th for Tommy Edman, followed by a Gavin Lux single. Little rally going there in the 7th, turned into a couple of runs for the Dodgers, but they gave up 1 in the 8th and 2 in the 9th, and that was as close as they got at that point. For number 1, a leadoff double in the 7th on a sinker for Shohei Ohtani. And then right after that, Mookie Betts, a 2-run home run, yanked into the left field bleachers, into the pavilion there. It was his 17th. It was on a curveball, traveled 390 feet, made it 7-4 at that point. But again, that's as close as the Dodgers got. So, plenty of offense. You can't be digging out of holes in the first inning all the time. This is one of those things that I get really frustrated. I'm getting less frustrated with the early deficits because comebacks are good. They're character builders, etc. But the Dodgers are a better team at front running, I think, because I do believe the bullpen is solid. And if you have someone like Flaherty on the mound who's dominating like he did yesterday, a small 2-3 run lead will be enough. You turn it over to the bullpen and let them do their thing. And see, the problem becomes when the Dodgers have to pull somebody early in the game. This is a scenario that I don't like, that makes me feel like we're in trouble today, right? Starter goes 2 or 3, starter gives up a bunch. Now you're digging out of a hole and hoping that he just can hold it where it is, right? So, which is what happened tonight. Walker Buehler gave up 3 in the first, and then the Dodgers held it to the 4th, and they gave up 1 more. So after 4, the Dodgers were down 4-0, which is a lead that the Dodgers can overcome, or a deficit they can overcome. They can deal with that. Their offense is powerful. But, right, at that point, they weren't hitting the ball. As I said, I kind of expected it coming off that series against the Guardians over the weekend, a big series, something that was meaningful. If Walker Buehler just holds it at 4, he ended up giving up 1 more, being 5, but that was charged. Banda gave up the hits because Banda came in and gave up 3 hits right away. And one of them, if not 2 of them, charged to Buehler. So when they get into the hole, that this scenario of having to dig out of it early, or because at 3 or 4, you're into the 4th or 5th inning, you feel like you're still in it. Okay, so now we got to go get Buehler, which they did, made it through 5, right? And now we have to run the bullpen out there, right? And sometimes if it's the 3rd or the 2nd, if it's a Kershaw outing and his toes hurt, we got to throw bullpen for 8 innings. And then guess what happens? There's a trickle down effect into the next day. All of those guys, or most of them, can't pitch again. So now we're just like, well, here's what we got. And that's kind of what they were dealing with today a little bit. Although Flaherty had 7 1/3 yesterday. So I don't know why the bullpen, it appeared to me that, they just didn't really have a deep bullpen roster tonight. It was like, we're just going to Banda comes in and gives up a hit right away. 2 hits, 3 hits, 2 runs, and they were just like, that's cool, whatever. And then Grove came in for an inning, 13 pitches, 2 Ks, looked great. Ramirez gave up 1 earned, 3 total on 4 hits, and they're just like, that's fine. We're going to lose this game, and that's cool because you can't win them all. And, you have to kind of, what's that saying? Forest for the trees. This is what this game was. But as I forecast and look forward, I don't like the scenario of falling down early and then hoping that your starting pitcher can hang in there for 3 or 4 innings to give the offense an opportunity to get back in there. You would rather it be the other way around, I think. If I had to pick a scenario for the Dodgers, like this is our dream scenario, this is how we draw it up. Get a little lead in the early part of the game, hope your starter goes 4 or 5, and then give it to the bullpen there where you can add on and the bullpen can keep them tight. That's a better scenario for me. This scenario is not one that I feel the Dodgers are super comfortable with. Again, there's no way to come up with a game plan for baseball. It's not like football, but there was a lot of things working against them tonight. So I don't look at this game and go, oh no, red light, problem, issue, abort. No, we're fine. Everything's fine. So what? Cubs scored 10 runs. Cubs are red hot right now, hitting the cover off the ball. About a week ago, they had won 9 of 10 and they scored 99 runs in those 9 wins. What? I mean, killing it. But they've come back to earth a little bit. Coming into this game, they had won 6 of 10. So tonight, 7 of 11. So it's going well for them. They're hanging in there. They're battling to get into that wild card, which we'll break down after the break. We'll run down where the wild card is and where the Diamondbacks are, where the Padres are, et cetera, et cetera. Dodgers now 86-58, 47-26 at home, 21 games over 500. That is remarkable. Tied now with Philadelphia for the best record in the league as the Phillies edged Tampa Bay tonight 2-1. Cubs are 74-70, 36-37 on the road. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. Also, find us wherever you find your podcast on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. All right, tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers postcast brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience are the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, like superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. As I've mentioned, I have purchased brake kits, the rotors, the pads, the whole deal on eBay Motors plenty of times. Brake lights, lots of things related to brakes that I have purchased on eBay Motors, and I've always gotten a smoking deal, way less than you would spend at an auto parts store. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for with their guaranteed fit. Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it is easy, excuse me, to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay's guaranteed fit is only available to U.S. customers. Sorry about that. Frog in my throat. Dodgers fall tonight, 10-4 to the Cubbies. They had some opportunities for sure. They left the bases loaded in the third. As I mentioned, the Dodgers only had 1 hit through 4. So it's a nice job to load the bases with 3 walks. Didn't turn into anything, but they battled. Nice at bats. I feel like just in general, they have more confidence. And this goes all the way back to when Mookie returned and when Freddie returned. Ever since those guys are back in the lineup on a regular basis, the entire Dodger lineup, Max Muncy getting back in there, all of that has bred more confidence up and down this lineup. Tommy Edman has been good. I know you guys all think Chris Taylor is worthless, but Chris Taylor is not. He's been much better. His OPS over the last 38 games is over 700. Had a hit tonight. Hit the ball hard. I feel like I was texting with Jeff from Locked On Dodgers today. I read something that said that, maybe we don't see, the article was basically like 3 guys you probably won't see on the Dodgers roster in the postseason: Walker Buehler, Joe Kelly, and they threw Kike in there. And I was kind of surprised by that because I feel like the Dodger organization, Dave Roberts on down, they go out of their way to keep Kike around because he's so versatile and he's a clutch hitter, especially against left-handers of late. And that's something like he's a guy, he's proven to me that he could be an everyday player. There are better options for this Dodger team. For example, Max Muncy at third is a better option than Kike Hernandez. But Kike Hernandez could play full-time in other places, on other teams. But he is a really, really good clubhouse guy, and that may not mean anything to some of you, but I think it means a lot. And he's a guy that can come in off the bench and get crucial clutch hits. He has done it a lot, time and time again. He's a guy that can come off the bench and get base hits in the postseason. So he's a guy that I feel like the Dodgers would miss him if they don't keep him around. So there's this talk that, it really kind of boils down to whether or not it is Andy Pages, Chris Taylor, or Kike Hernandez. Two of those guys will stay. One will not make the roster. I don't know. I'm sure most of you think it should be Pages and Hernandez, and that Chris Taylor should be the odd man out. I don't know. I feel like Chris Taylor is versatile defensively and hitting the ball well enough now to be a member of this team in the postseason. Pages, I feel like he strikes out too much. Yes, he hits home runs way more than Chris Taylor does, probably more than Kike does as well. But his defense is suspect, and you've got Kiermaier. You've got an extra guy in center field, so you don't need Pages. He can't play anywhere else. So to me, he's the odd man out. Not Kike, not Chris Taylor. Call me crazy. Say I'm wrong. Go for it. It's the Locked On Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. Let's get to the standings real quick. As I mentioned, the Dodgers now tied. Not that this really matters much, although they were talking to Friedman, and Friedman's goal still is to win the West. They don't have a problem with the week of sitting around, although it has not done them well over the last couple of years. He said their answer to that is, we're going to do it differently if we win, which they probably will. He's like, our answer to that problem is a different solution. Treat it differently. Have more intense work during the week off. Something to that effect was what he was alluding to. Okay. I like that they're trying something different, and they have a plan at least. They're not just sitting there going, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. No, they need to do something more. Can't sit around for a week and face a team that's a wild card team that's been playing with this do or die mentality for a month. And then they come in like the Diamondbacks did last year, kick you in the ass. That doesn't work. So the Dodgers have to figure out, I don't know how you do it. You go find a really good college team and bring them in and you play real baseball games. I don't know if that's legal. Can you bring in AAA? Can you bring in the Oklahoma City team and say, all right, we're playing a 3-game set, something like that, 4-game set right now. These are real games. Have umpires, the whole deal. Maybe. That'd be cool if they did. I think that would be better than practicing, taking BP and fielding ground balls. All right. Dodgers currently 5.5 up on the Padres in the West, 6 on the Diamondbacks. And for those of you who are curious about the wild card, this is how it looks. Right now in the National League, Padres and Diamondbacks are in, as are the Mets. Braves are 1 back in New York. Cubs are 5 back. So it's a long shot. They got to stay hot throughout. They got to keep it rolling. Feels like Padres and Diamondbacks are in. Braves and Mets are battling for that last spot. So there you have it. Cubs are good, playing good, but it's probably not going to be good enough. One more question here from Roy, who's been our star commenter of the night. What does Kiermaier bring you besides glove? If he does not play, you can't use him as a pinch hitter. Edman and Kike can play center field. CT3 can play infield and outfield. Kiermaier is a wasted at bat. Those are great points, Roy. I feel like Kiermaier, he's okay at the plate. He's shown us that he can hit. He hasn't been awful. Of late, it hasn't been good. You're right. Kike can play center. So can Chris Taylor. And they're not as good as Kiermaier, but it's not a negative. It's not a liability. Those are really good points right there. You would rather, so you're saying you would rather have Pages over Kiermaier. Fair point. Let's ask Jeff. That's a good point. I can't argue that point at all, Roy. I feel like the veteran status for Kiermaier is something that they maybe feel indebted to. Like, we owe this guy something. I don't know why. He's not a Dodger. He just came in as a free agent at the trade deadline. So, yeah, I mean, it's a real possibility that they decide to keep Pages around because he provides more pop at the plate and you don't need him in center field. As a pinch hitter, I think you'd have to break down those numbers. Where does, because Kiermaier's a left-handed bat and Pages is a right-handed bat, and they lean to that left-handed hitter because they don't have as many of them. So I think that could play to his favor, but I think you'd have to break down the numbers as a pinch hitter, and I don't have those in front of me right now. So I'll do that. We'll talk about it again tomorrow after the game. This is the Locked On Dodgers postcast. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for the comments. Fun time, even though the Dodgers lost. Hey, it's okay. Can't win them all. Turn the page, and we'll be back tomorrow. Game 2 of this series against the Cubbies. Let's see who is starting. Yamamoto is starting. Duh. That's going to be fun. So we'll have plenty to talk about tomorrow night. We'll see you right after the game right here on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. And don't forget, you can listen wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. Have a good night. We'll talk tomorrow.